Good evening. It's Monday, the 30th of January, and it's time for the news on RIK2. Negotiators Andreas Mavroyiannis and Ozdel Nami met today in continuation of their efforts to narrow differences between the Greek and Turkish Cypriot sides on the issues still pending in their negotiations for a Cyprus settlement. Cyprus news agency quoted reliable sources as saying that the meeting was meant to prepare a new session between President Anastasiades and Turkish Cypriot leader Mustafa Akinci the day after tomorrow. The leaders' meeting was planned to decide arrangements on the procedure and the methodology of the negotiations for ending Cyprus's division brought about by the 1974 Turkish invasion. Anastasiades has said that after the Montpelleron low-level talks, he and Akinci decided to continue the dialogue in Cyprus on all 6 chapters, including security, in order to narrow existing differences or, if possible, reach agreement on the majority of the chapters before continuing the Geneva conference. Greece's President Prokopis Pavlopoulos has called on Turkey to respect Greek and European borders and international treaties after Turkish warships carrying the top military leaders of Turkey sailed past a Greek island. Pavlopoulos said the presence of Turkish warships near the islet of Imia constituted a very serious violation of Greece's borders and of the provisions of the Treaty of Lausanne setting down the borders between Turkey and Greece. The Turkish action, which came on the 21st anniversary of a Greek-Turkish standoff at Imia, was meant to be a warning to Greece after the decision by the Arios Pagos, Greece's top court, to reject a request for the extradition of 8 officers who fled after the failed coup of last July. The Turkish military had originally released video of the sail-by and said that a Greek patrol ship had harassed the Turkish warships. But after nationalists mocked Turkey's top officers on social media that they cowed at the appearance of a Greek warship, the military issued a statement saying that the ships just sailed past Imia on their way to inspect a nearby Turkish naval base on the Turkish coast. Turkey's Defense Minister Fikri Isik has said that the country's relations with Germany will be damaged if Berlin did not reject requests for asylum from some 40 former Turkish officers Ankara suspects of having links to the failed July coup. German media reported on Saturday that around 40 mostly high-ranking Turkish soldiers who worked at NATO facilities in Germany had requested asylum. Isik said he would bring the issue up with his German counterpart at a NATO security conference planned for next month. He said the officers applied for asylum after they were dismissed from the military following the July 15th failed coup. Tens of thousands of people have rallied in U.S. cities and at airports to voice outrage over President Donald Trump's executive order restricting entry into the country for travelers from 7 Muslim-majority nations. In New York, Washington and Boston, a second wave of demonstrations followed spontaneous rallies that broke out at U.S. airports on Saturday as U.S. Customs and Border Protection agents began enforcing Trump's directive. The protests spread westward as the day progressed. One of the largest protests took place at Battery Park in Lower Manhattan, within sight of the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor, a symbol of welcome to America. Democratic Senator Charles Schumer of New York told the crowd that Trump's order ran counter to the country's core values. But the Trump administration remained adamant, announcing through the Berlin American Embassy that the visa issuance had been suspended to nationals or dual nationals of Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen. 6 people were killed and 8 wounded when gunmen opened fire at a mosque in Quebec, Canada, during Sunday night prayers. 39 people were unharmed. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who had earlier said that Canada would continue accepting Muslim refugees after the United States ban, called the act a terrorist attack on Muslims. Police said 2 suspects had been arrested. Trudeau condemned the terrorist attack on Muslims, saying that Muslim Canadians are an important part of the national fabric. He added that these senseless acts have no place in Canadian communities, cities and the country. France's socialists have picked left-winger Benoît Hamon as their candidate for president, but their choice was unlikely to help them win the election, as it has boosted the campaign of popular independent centrist Emmanuel Macron. 39-year-old Macron, an ex-banker, has been drawing big crowds with an agenda he says transcends the classic left-right divide. Macron's chances were also boosted by the scandal over fake pay bedeviling the centre-right. A poll published last night after the socialist vote showed centre-right candidate Françoise Fillon losing ground to Macron since the fake job scandal broke. The poll showed far-right leader Marine Le Pen coming first in the April initial round, but both Fillon and Macron were seen winning if either were up against Le Pen in the May 7th runoff. Macron would beat Fillon if the two were pitted against each other then. Syrian government forces have recaptured all the towns and villages in the Wadi Baradi Valley near Damascus in another blow to rebels who have fought for years to unseat President Bashar al-Assad. The military's offensive, launched last month, aimed partly to seize control of a major spring and water pumping station which supplies most of the capital's water. Fighting and damage to the site caused acute water shortages in Damascus this month. The recapture of Wadi Baradi signals the fall of another rebel-held area in western Syria and comes weeks after insurgents were driven from areas they controlled in Aleppo, their last major urban stronghold. Military support from Russia, Iran and Lebanese group Hezbollah have been instrumental in helping turn the 6-year civil war in Assad's favour. Now for the weather forecast, it will gradually turn cloudy tomorrow, leading to isolated rain and snow over higher ground. Winds will be light to moderate northwesterly to northeasterly, becoming moderate to fresh in the afternoon, force 4 to 5. The sea will be slight to moderate. Temperatures will reach 10 Celsius inland, 12 in coastal areas, and 2 over the mountains where frost is expected. It will be mostly sunny over the next 3 days, although cloud will develop at times over some areas. Temperatures will remain unchanged on Wednesday, but a marked rise is expected on Thursday. That's all from us here. Join us tomorrow for more news in English. Have a very good evening.